3 games both days. It's a super wild card weekend. Yeah!
Before we show you the video, please like or subscribe, and both, to the Coach and Crew shows on YouTube. Please enjoy our videos. We have a lot to show you. Please like, subscribe, and share with a friend. Thanks for watching. So for a while now, this became a running joke, and after a while, it was not just a joke, but a real thing, and it became true. And we've never done this on purpose. Let's go ahead and say that. So there's 4 voting members on the Coach and Crew show for the NFL Power Rankings. But because of that, because of me, Byron, Phil, aka Tantor, and Luke, our honest-to-God rankings, even though in reality is they had nothing to do with it, because of our honest-to-God rankings, they became KOD rankings. KOD stands for Kiss of Death, okay? We became the Kiss of Death because you were, if a top-tier team, and we'll say anywhere from 1 through 8, definitely 1 through 4, if you made that list consistently, you were going to lose that very next week. And sure enough, at least for the back half of the season, there was at least 1 to 2 teams per week that found their way heading south because of our power rankings and so forth.
I think it was the pressure of our power rankings. I think these teams are part of the dozens and
dozens
Coach and Crew fans. And so once they get ranked that high by us, then that's when the pressure's on.
And actually, those who visit our website, we had 450 views last month alone. So thank you, Coach and Crew fans, or thank you for the same 17 people coming back many, many, many times. Either way, we appreciate it. But because of our KODs, I came up with this idea. Everybody's going to preview the wild card weekend, or as they're calling it now, the super wild card weekend. So I thought of a fun spin to put on it that hopefully would be interesting, maybe from a bettor's point of view, is the 4 of us had submitted our picks. I'm doing like our 4 horsemen on the podcast, by the way. So this is YouTube and podcast broadcast. There you go. Anyway, we have submitted our picks. We've ranked them out 1 through 6 of our confidence. So I don't know if these teams should now start worrying or their fans should actually start celebrating. But here is the Coach and Crew's confidence picks 1 through 6 of this weekend's games. And coming in at number 1, the most confident game, because we're going to build up towards where our least confident is and see how that works out, is up in upstate New York, close to Canada, which I'm still waiting for Byron's worksheet from his Canadian worksheet from, 17 years ago, it seems like. We have the
couple decades.
It's in the mail. We have the Buffalo Bills advancing over the Indianapolis Colts. And this show has been fans of the Indianapolis Colts all year, but to quote Chris Berman, no one circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, despite what Tantor says about being cold up there, they might be the hottest team in football. I mean, they are just rolling. They're firing on all cylinders. The Colts have a great defense, but I don't know that anybody can slow down the Bills right now. Unfortunately, I don't think the Colts have the firepower to keep up. I think it's going to end up being a shootout that the Bills just creep away, and it's going to be done.
Yeah, Byron, we were just saying this to one of our many pre-show conversations. There's a certain point where the score is going to be too much and it becomes a shootout that Indianapolis can't contain. And I don't know if that's like 26, 28. Definitely once you get into the 30s, it's all Buffalo. Where's Indianapolis's line if Indianapolis is going to pull the upset? Kickoff?
Indy on the right day can put up points. I don't know if they're that consistent. So I don't know where to draw that line. Somewhere around 28.
Yeah, like we were saying, this is reasons why they're the number 1 most confident pick. We have Buffalo advancing to the divisional semifinals round. Our number 2 most confident pick, and yes, good thing we're not showing our homerness whatsoever on the YouTube side of things. Good thing neither one of us are supporting the Washington football team wearing our Redskin apparel, because that would be bias, and we're not here to be biased, not one bit. But if we had to be honest with the situation, you have a jacked up winning 11-5 Tampa Bay squad going into DC to play either a quarterback who can't move or a quarterback that's never started a game before in his life. So there's your options. We have Tampa Bay as the second most confident pick for the weekend's game.
But there's a chance, Charlie. Not if I had money on it, but there's a chance.
Well, all right. Once again, the weakness of Tampa Bay is heavy pressure when they're passing. And that's probably Washington's strength. Now, having said that, scoring is not Washington's strength, and Tampa Bay can put up some points. So, once again, there's a line eventually that Tampa Bay is just going to score too many. And listen, everybody and their brother thinks Ron Rivera should be a finalist for Coach of the Year. And there's some other deservings. Obviously, start in Buffalo per our other conversation. But this might be the end of the road for the Washington football team for the 2020 campaign.
Yeah, I have my eye on the Dominican Sue and what he's going to do if Alex Smith does start. So I'm almost hoping Heineke gets the start so we can have somebody that can run away from some of that pressure. Because, oh, by the way, Tampa's got a great run defense. They're legitimate on that side of the ball. So it's going to be a long day for both offenses.
Yeah, once again, at minimum, 11-5 is still pretty good. Our third most confident game of the weekend, and then there's a big drop to everything else, is back in the playoffs for the first time since 2002, the Cleveland Covids versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I don't know. I mean, I love the story that is Cleveland. I love those stupid commercials with Baker, especially the one where he's playing video games on the Jumbotron, and they're like, turn it off. One more game. That's that fun. That commercial's funny. But I think Cleveland's just got too much against them with coaches out, players out, and then Pittsburgh is as rested as they get. We have that as our number 3 most confident game. Byron, do you have?
And that was my number 1 most confident game because Baker's not going to be at home where he is in that commercial. And, oh, by the way, the real Steelers are going to show up this week, not the might as well have been COVID Steelers from last week. So we were talking about it a few weeks ago. Cleveland will find a way to Cleveland this, and I think the Steelers just roll on and look like the team that they did before they lost to the Washington football team.
Well said. I forgot it. We made that joke. Cleveland did it. All right, now it gets interesting because now we start having picks that maybe not be split votes because my lowest ranked game is still a unanimous vote, but I have the New Orleans Saints as my lowest picked game. We are the 4th most confident game. Vegas has them as a 10-point spread, but I honestly would not be the least bit surprised if the Chicago Bears come out with a victor. Everybody else had a smaller confidence score on some of these. I think Tantor had them as the 2nd highest confident, but New Orleans and Chicago are our 4th most confident game.
Well, some people think that New Orleans has the best roster top to bottom on both sides of the ball, excluding Drew Brees. But I still don't know. It depends which Bears team shows up. I mean, you got the Bears that showed up and got whooped against the Packers, or you got the Bears team that was putting up what seemed like 40 every week and looked like the Bears defense of old. So if Drew Brees can't move around or can't move the football, then that could be it. I know Kamara's out. So it just depends on which Bear team shows up if they can get pressure. We'll see.
Dare I say I'm rooting for the Bears. The Bears. I'm not going to take the Bears bus, but I'm close to it. I don't know. What are the Bears? Something like 4-1 in their last 5, 3-1 out of their last 4, something in that neighborhood. Since Mitch Trubisky's come back, they've really been on a roll, and New Orleans just scares me right now, and I could be on an island on that, and maybe I am, and so be it. But we have New Orleans advancing, but my confidence level's low. Us as a coaching crew show have them as the fourth most confident. Now it gets really, really, really interesting. We have the Seattle Seahawks in a split vote advancing over. I still may have or may not have called them the St. Louis Rams. Apparently, they've moved. They are now the LA Rams. But in a split vote, we have Seattle advancing over the Rams. But some people in our coaching crew show have taken the Rams, while others gave the KOD to the Seahawks. And this one, I guess, could go either way.
Well, I think I might have gave my KOD to the Pittsburgh Steelers a minute ago. But in this one, I think the upset is coming from the St. Louis LA Rams, where not having Goff might be their saving grace. They split games with Seattle this year, and it was only a 4-point difference over both games, and Goff threw 0 touchdowns in both of those games. So it's going to come down to the three-headed running back beast that they have over in LA between Henderson, Akers, Brown, and that defense. I mean, they've been holding people to low scores, so they might not have to put up 40. So I think that's going to be one of the better games of the weekend in a divisional game. But I think the Rams might be the upset of the weekend there.
And then our final game of the weekend, if those who haven't figured it out by now, as far as least confident goes, we have – it's a split vote, actually. I'm looking at the scores right now. We have Baltimore just barely advancing as a away favored against Tennessee. And Tennessee last year, about an hour and a half before the playoffs started, is when Derrick Henry took Tennessee to a whole new level. And for maybe it was 10 games this season, but it sure seemed a lot more than that. Tennessee was high-level teams, and they were constantly in somewhere between our top 8 and top 4 throughout the season. But now, here, lo and behold, the number 1 seed from last year, Baltimore, is probably one of the hottest, if not the hottest team in the AFC. And Coach and Crew Show is going to lean their support KODing on Baltimore, it looks like.
Well, if they can stop Derrick Henry, who I'm pretty sure had 250 yards last week, then that'll be the key to the game. But something just tells me the X factor, Lamar Jackson, is going to pull something out of his hat and just make some people on Tennessee's not so great defense look silly, and that he's going to be the X factor in this. I know both teams have talent on offense. I think it's going to be a high-scoring affair, but I think it just comes down to Lamar Jackson who's going to make a play.
And that could be. This one easily could be a shootout, and I think that would be a fun shootout. I think
this could be the best game of the weekend. I think it's going to be fun to watch.
Well, being our lowest confident game, in theory, that should make it the best game, if that logic makes sense. So,
yes.
Ding. Any final comments, Byron?
No, just ready for a fun weekend of football, man. Go Washington football team. Bring your offense and let's upset some people. Go Underdogs.
It's going to be a great weekend starting Saturday at 1 through Sunday night.
3 games both days. It's a super wild card weekend. Yeah!